Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner and to some more Cardfight OCG tournament results. And we got a couple things to go over from this past weekend, including a premium tournament. But before we get into that, just want to point out once again, I'm doing a Q&A video in about a week or so. So if you have any questions you want to ask and you haven't asked them already, you can post them down below alongside talking about what's going on here. And I will answer them when I do that eventual follow-up, and they don't have to be about strictly Vanguard, they can be about other stuff too. That being out of the way, let's get into this. So, for the one premium, we've got the More and More Cups VGCS, 36 people, Pale Moon won it, Grand Blue got second, BG got third, and Grand Blue, Gold Paladin got second, and Grand Blue got fourth. And as far as the numbers go, BG was the most played deck, which makes sense. Pale Moon was the second most played at 5, Shadows at 4, Nubas and Golds at 3, and notably, there's no Neo Nectar in here. Now, I think I've heard from some people before that Katrina is not as busted okay, well, Katrina is a busted deck, but when it comes to the other decks in the room, Katrina is relatively tame compared to what Gold Paladin, Riviere, and Pale Moon especially are capable of doing, and which is why it's probably not seeing as much playing here, whereas in North America, people are playing a good amount of Katrina, and it's terrifying the bejesus out of us. But yeah, so basically, there are decks other than Katrina out there. We just have to be mindful, and that way when you get your face kicked in by Pale Moon, you'll be like, what the hell happened? And this is your kind of a warning of that. So anyway, here's your first place Pale Moon. I've been told that this deck is very strong, and that it is something you do need to keep in the back of your mind. Then you've got your second place Riviere, no, this is Gold Paladin. Then you've got Riviere, and finally, Grand Blue. I do kind of regret not really dipping my feet into this deck, because it seems like it'd be really fun to play. It's just I could never really justify spending the money on Zoa, especially when I play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I get more mileage out of, say, buying an Infinite Impermanence instead of Zoa, because that's pretty much what it was for me at the time, is either I get a Zoa or I get Impermanence, and I definitely don't regret my decision of getting Impermanence. But anyway, so yeah, there's some premium spice for you, and yeah, let's move on to standard now. So we have teams first up. This Shikoku VGCS 11 teams. Riviere, Himiko, and Gold Paladin 1. Revon, Mordred, and Riviere. I'm assuming all three of these are those decks, by the way. Got second, but the lists were withheld. Vanquisher, Revon, Hyuga Zanbaku got third. Revon, Dote, and Mordred got fourth. So as far as the numbers go, 9 BT, 4 Narukami, and 4 Aquas, 3 Shadows, and then 2 Tachis, Pale Moon, and GS. What the heck is GS? That cannot possibly mean Genesis, couldn't it? I guess so. I mean, I abbreviate it as GE, but in any case, moving on. So here's your first place Riviere, first place Himiko. I'm curious to see what happens with this deck once the new set drops, because it's obviously going to be much more, Extra Booster 13 is obviously going to be more geared towards the Valkyrion deck, and I don't think Himiko is going to get much to work with here, but kudos to the fact that Himiko is still doing stuff. Then you've got Gold Paladin here, Agravain. Then moving on, we've got, so second place is not known. I mean, we don't know what the lists look like, but we know what they are. So let's move on to third. Here's your third place Vanquisher, the rare. Okay, it's becoming more rare build that plays Gauntlet Buster. As you're going to see, most lists have just dropped Gauntlet entirely. It's not needed in the deck, and I will go into that when I eventually talk about the deck myself. I've got a proxied up Vanquisher deck profile. I plan on shooting a video about it. I just don't know if it's going to be a really big overview / profile preview like I did with the Belusha deck a couple months ago, or if it's just going to be a more simple, here's a proxied up deck profile, let's get into it. But I'm leaning more towards the more in-depth discussion on it, but you can comment on what you want to see me do as far as the proxy fight Vanquisher deck goes. And you've got Revon here. This guy is playing the grade 3 RR. For the most part, though, most lists don't play it. I made that mistake when I assumed they did last week. I also assumed the deck was much cheaper than it is. It's not. It's definitely not. Vanquisher, on the other hand, will be, in my opinion, relatively cheap to build. You just got to pick up Cho-Os and your perfect cards, and everything else you can just get in set, really. You don't even need Death Scythe. You can play Zuitan instead, and Rising Phoenixes too, but Phoenixes should be cheap. And we're getting him as a shop promo, not as foil as Japan's, but we'll be getting a reprint of sorts for Phoenix that I do kind of want. You got Revon, and then Zanbaku Hyuga, I can't comment on how well this deck does compared to the other versions of Hyuga, but I think I get the idea behind it. You Zanbaku lock your opponent if they don't have a board, and if they do have a board, you go for the board wipe with Hyuga. You are committing a decent amount of deck space for it, though. You need Zanbaku and the Arresters to do so, but it's something at least. And then you've got, let's see, yeah, that's the 4th place team I'm looking at. So 4th place, Revon. This one's just Revon, no backups. 4th place, Kagero. So this is Dope Blade Master. No great. So that'll be a little easier on the walls. Obviously, you still need Full Armor Dragon Knight and Dote itself. But that's the tax you pay for playing Kagero. And then Mordred. So Mordred, as far as we can see here, they have incorporated some cards from the recent extra booster into the deck. The new Grade 3 allows you to fetch Blaster Dark, and then the Grade 1 triple rare that fetches Grade 3s. And that's pretty much what Shadows are doing, because again, Cleric Sword's just not good. As you can see here, pretty much the same thing, except he's leaning more into the Grade 3 as opposed to Danger Lunge Dragon, which kind of makes sense. And not much else to really say here. Yeah, like, Japan's not touching Claret at all, which does not surprise me. You've got your 2nd place Aquaforce deck list, and then you've got your not your 2nd place Aquaforce deck list, your 1st place Aquaforce deck list, the 2nd player on the team. Wow, I can't words right now. And you've got the 3rd player playing BT. Your 2nd place deck lists begin with Riviere, and then Azel. So the rare appearance of Azel, normally by now, Agravain is the gold standard for Gold Paladin. Yes, that pun was intended, and I don't regret any of it. Then you've got the 4th Aokawa VGCS, 48 people. Pacifica won it, Kagero got 2nd, and Riviere got 3rd and 4th. And the numbers are as you expect, BT in the most played deck, followed by Naros, Aquas, Shadows, and Golds. So anyway, here's your Riviere, and here's your Dote. And this guy, look at this, 12 crits and playing grade 1 PGs. Is he only playing just a couple of them? I think that's the case. So, like, he decided that he's just going to go all in with this deck and just hammer people with restanding Force 2, most likely Dotes. And you know what? I'll give this guy credit. Like, he is a hero for that, because I never would have expected Kagero to get the top in singles in this day and age. But here we are. Then you've got your Riviere number 1 and Riviere number 2. Then we're moving on to the Korean VGCS standard format 80 people. The only list that's known is the 1st place DI, but I'm making this one gets a note because they decided for this event to ban the Grade 2 Karo, so that can't be used in a Riviere deck. So it's a choice restriction. You can't use this card in a Riviere deck, is what the shop did. And as a result, what happens? There's no BT in Top Cut. 2 Narukami, 1 Aquaforce, 1 DI, so probably Vanquisher and Revon, and then the 1st place list here is Brufus. So I think Bushiroad just has a big hint here as to what they should do on the restricted list and how to tame the beast that is a BT, or rather the Riviere deck. And that is ban this Karo out of the deck, and I think a lot of the problems regarding it will be dealt with. So yeah, that's some food for thought as far as the next restricted list goes. Then lastly, we have the Hamamatsu. No, wait, no. We still have one more tournament after this. So, second last of the video is the Hamamatsu 193 VGCS, 59 people. 1st, 3rd, and 4th were Vanquisher, and Riviere was 2nd. And as far as the numbers go, 30 BT, 25 Riviere, 3 Riviere Coral, and 2 Pacifica. 10 Narukami, most likely all Vanquisher. 6 Aquaforce, likely all Revon. And then Tachikaze and Shadows, and most likely all Clarets there. And obviously, I'm super hyped to see that Vanquisher got 3 out of the top 4 for this. Like, that, it's like the first time in a while that we've had a non-BT win. Let's see, Pacifica. Yeah, this is all teams though. Yeah, and then so yeah, something other than BT won. And it was Vanquisher, which is to be expected. He's arguably the 2nd best deck in the format. Vanquisher is good against a lot of decks in the field, and if it goes first against Riviere, you have a reasonable chance of beating them, actually. Like, if you can survive the Riviere rush and they don't open the nuts, and you get to that turn 4 with 2 Axel Circles and the Grade 3 in Soul, you could beat them. Like, the deck's that good. And as far as this build goes, he's playing 8 draws and fronts, which I'm not sure if I agree with playing fronts in here. I do understand the merits makes your big lines get even bigger, but it also kind of requires you to change your attack order a little bit, so I'm not too sure about that. I also don't really agree with playing the 12k Vanilla Grade 2. If you're going to do that, you might as well play the Volt Pike Dragon, but I think there's better cards you can play in here. And you got Riviere, and you got, let's see, this guy's playing a more, okay, not so much a bog standard list, because he's playing Voltec, wow, I can't say his name. Voltic Horn Dragon, there we go. Voltage Horn Dragon, wow. Names are hard. But anyway, he's playing Voltage Horn, which this is, I think, the first time in a while that we've seen him in here. Generally speaking, you don't see Voltage Horn. It's just simply not needed. If you need Battle Phase Binding, you're probably going to be using Jaggy Shot Dragoon to get that off, because Jaggy Shot triggers both Shatra and Rising Phoenix off of one play. And he's playing the one of Death Scythe. You see a good amount of him. There's also Zuitan in here, which is in this list. Side note, this list is pretty much the deck list I had prepared for card, except he's playing one more Bajran, as opposed to me playing 2 Zuitan, and since then I've actually cut the 1 Zuitan to play a 4th copy Bajran. I found myself needing him. If you have a choice of calling him or Shatra in battle phase, obviously you're going to go with Shatra, but I do like binding this guy off of Vanquisher. I don't like binding Shatra with Vanquisher if I have a means to trigger him already in battle phase with Jaggy Shots and Voltic Zapper. So, yeah, Voltic Shred, there we go. So, but I like this list. Like, it's been doing good for me. I like 6 draws, 6 crits. And then rounding it out, we have the Miyazaki VGCS, 40 people. Murakumo won it. Bichi at 17 people, Narukami at 6, and then Naka Force and Shadows at 3 apiece. And it's Hyuga and Shiryuki, which is no surprise. Like, the Hyuga Zanbaku thing is more uncommon compared to this build. I do wonder what they're gonna do about Kumo, because if they kill BT, then we're basically going back to Narukami versus Murakumo versus Tachikaze versus Revon format, really. So it'll be a 4XL format. And do people really want to go back to that if they kill Riviere? So we'll have to see. But yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So comment down below what you think of how the format is going. Are you pleasantly surprised as I am to see that Narukami's doing better than this? Because I expected maybe 1 Vanquisher top in like a 3rd or 4th. I wasn't expecting to win a thing and get 3 out of top 4 too. Like, my boy's doing very good, and I have quite a bit to say when I eventually do that profile. So yeah, comment down below what you think, and again, feel free to ask questions for the Q&A down below. And yeah, that's all for now. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, this is BlueStar899 jacking out.